So I've tried to start a show for years now. And just never felt good enough. Never felt like it was right. It was never honest enough. It was too forced. I think some part of me knew whatever emotion I was going for, tone, wouldn't be sustainable. But I'm really recording this right now as some sort of a ego's last stand. Some sort of a crucible, I guess. And whoever it's meant to reach, I just trust it'll find you through some kind of magic, through that sort of kismet aspect of the universe that gets you the right book or the right song or person when you need them. It's out of my hands, I'll put it that way. And there's a part of me that wants to make this almost like a warning video. Hey, if you're an aimless creative, 40 comes fast. So watch out. Cautionary tale. And there's truth to that. I could make this a video about that, but that wouldn't be the whole truth. Because I've had such a fascinating adventure through America that it almost feels like that was the cost of admission. So, perspective ends up kind of being everything. And it's a cliche. Comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that's generally meant or used to mean oh, don't look at your neighbors, da 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 da, and which is great advice, because if you're looking at someone else's life, you never really know what's really going on or what it takes or how it fit seems like the biggest thing. A life that would be heaven for somebody because of its simplicity or complexity or whatever could be literally hell for somebody else. See if this is still recording. Oh, it is. Great. It's just that moment of fuck, am I just talking to the air? Although I do a fair amount of that too. And I find myself now isolated, alone / lonely. I do feel like a pretty kind of solo person. I get pretty taxed out by social events and stuff like that, especially over maybe the past five plus years. Like an hour in a bar or something, and I'm like, dude, I'm good. But I find myself in this position right now where I've I've tried a lot of different things, creative stuff, music and, some writing stuff and da 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 da. And then stuff like outside of music, um, service oriented stuff or whatever. And, I never really like saw any of it through in terms of, I like do something for a couple of years and do something else. And, as I saw, classmates or people sort of zeroing in, I'm a lawyer or, whatever. I was like, I don't know. I don't really have a label. I'm just this and I'm that. But now I'm at this point where I've sort of put my own back up against the wall. And, there's this quote in Apocalypse Now where Martin Sheen's like, if you're going to get out of the boat, you better go all the fucking way. And it feels like I'm at that moment right now where like the only way forward is to share honestly and to just kind of give all that I can, which is just my take on the world I see around me and my own life. And there's a part of me that would so love to be like an entertainer, like to have like a Howard Stern show with, midgets and porn stars and stuff. And then there's a part of me that would, love to, be Ricky Gervais writing comedy, or the South Park guys, or like or Norm Macdonald, or like everything is with that boyish smirk and it's all a big joke. And I see the world a lot like those guys I just named, the absurdity. And there's something about my own life that's like really brought me into the sort of like trenches of modern America, where I'm meeting and interacting with and just like kind of coming into the orbit of just like really fascinating characters. Like the land I'm staying on right now is this like one-eyed like hardcore Seventh-day Adventist lady, senior citizen pioneer, like, and how I got here, it's just like it's all so fucking random. And I've never been great at like planning. Like my plans are terrible. Like I looked back at a whole bunch of journals and stuff and I was like, I'll do this, I'll do that. And like some of it came true, but in general, like I'll wake up at 9 a.m. and da da da. I'm terrible at that. I'm like maybe as bad. I can't imagine somebody worse than me at that. And yet when I have like a true impulse, like it's not impulse, it's not the right word, like desire might be closer, like just when I really align with something and I just like trust fall into the world, like it's amazing the way things like can really rapidly manifest and come to fruition. And but I have to like really want it. I'm like terrible at faking it. I can't phone it in. It's impossible. I even just tried to record something like this just sitting at the fucking desk and it was just fucking garbage and it felt so fake. And I just felt like fucking exhausted from today, so I just lay down and then I was like, you know what? It's time to just like get something off your fucking chest and just be real about this strange, life journey. And, I am writing some about it, but there's just something about just connecting and just saying like, my life is fucking like weird. And getting back to the comparison thing, where I think that gets really interesting is comparing ourselves to like other versions of ourselves. Like what's the version of me that like worked in an investment bank? Like what's the version of me that just like stuck with guitar and like songwriting and just kept playing in bands, in New York from college onward, like what, and But even that is like this, even that kind of comparison is the thief of joy, because who even knows like what kind of destiny that we have, or where it's all leading, and it could just all be chance. But I do feel some kind of a guiding, and my hand's getting real wet. I do feel some kind of a guiding force through all this stuff that I can't really explain. And God is what comes to mind, but I don't even tie that to like a particular faith. Or I'm gonna pause this here and then do a second video, because sometimes when they go too long, it has issues.